Greetings from the internet to the internet. Redclaw for the Raspberry Pi has dropped once again. Well, for this, for today, yeah. Earlier today it dropped, and I'm gonna teach you how to set it up. Now, something else today, it is my birthday. I'm excited for it, but it's irrelevant for this video, so we're just gonna forget about that for the time being. Now, for Redclaw, it was originally targeted for the Raspberry Pi 5, with 3 builds released for Linux from Scratch 12.0. I was a little frustrated when it came to a firmware problem with the Wi-Fi chip, so I took a break for a few months, and then when school started back up again, we got Redclaw for the PC. Now, that's also broken. Kind of a shame because when it was released, Linux from Scratch hit 25 years old. So congratulations on that, Mr. Beekmans. And now today we've got another build for Redclaw for the Raspberry Pi 5. This time it works. Or so I thought. The setup script is messed up somehow. But we're just going to do some manual configuration for that. For the configuration guide that I put up on the website earlier. So you can check that out. A link is going to be in the description below. Now, what you'll need for Redclaw for the Pi 5 is, well, of course, a Pi 5. Now, this is in a custom case. Not really going to drop the good things about it, but it's a good case. Of course, you're going to need your usual peripherals, like display and power. But I'm not going to set up power yet because we still need to put the system on a device. Now, that could range from... Alright, hold up. I just had it. Okay, there you go. It could range from a micro SD card, which is what you would normally put, for example, like in the Raspberry Pi there. It's got a little micro SD card reader, and that's what the bootloader reads when it starts up. But if it's not in there, then it resorts to USB things. For example, you could put Redclaw on this and it would run just fine. You can also do micro SD card in an adapter. But of course, it's still going to load as a regular USB. So for setting up Redclaw to run off a USB, it does need a little extra configuration if you use the setup script, which we're not going to do. Because like I said, there's a broken thing when it came to passwords and stuff. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and get Redclaw's imaged. Now I do have another Raspberry Pi there. When it comes to running the script, I do recommend that you have an ARM-based system that runs Linux or something that can read the ext4 file system. Alright, so here is the Raspberry Pi. That's the red and white one we have there. So pretty much we're just going to go to the website and download stuff. Oh, it saved my thing here. We're also going to need a shell with root privileges because for the script it accesses storage devices in this here folder. I know it's a lot of stuff there. But it's got to mount and write stuff to it, so that's why we need root privileges. Alright, like I said down here, here's the configuration guide. Starting from here, you can go ahead and read that guide. Now, it's all in little sections. They're not really in order. They're just in order of what the topic is. Now, all the way back up here, got 25 years. Now, this page launched the same day that this launched for PC, but we're gonna download this here. Alright, I already have it downloaded, so it's going to be the same exact thing. And I already have it opened up, which will take a few minutes because it's got to unpack a whole bunch of stuff, and this isn't really... Why'd I close that out? It's not really a fast system, per se. But, yeah. That's not... That's a NordVPN thing. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the Redclaw thing again, so that we can get the guide there and put it side by side. Alright. So let's say that you downloaded and extracted everything. It's all going to extract. Hold up, downloads. Now once you have the file up here and you've run like a tar command to extract everything, you can just do like tar extract and then this. It's all packed in a file, so you don't need to worry about making a new directory. We're just going to go here and examine what's in here. Now you got the script here. It's not this part of the script that doesn't work. It's this script here. This is the one where's the problem. So we're just going to do some manual configuration here. Alright. Now one thing here is disk preparation, because you got to be able to load Redclaw onto the drive. So, yeah. What we've got here is just the system and stuff, and then what we have in here. This is read by the Pi bootloader to load firmware and overlays and stuff, as well as the kernel right here. And then we boot. Alright. Alright, now we're going to have another look in dev here. We don't have any USB devices connected, as it would show with the SDA thing. Oh, let me connect this again. But USB drive. There we go. Now when we load the directory there, it shows up as SDA. And that's going to be the drive that we are going to install Redclaw on. This here, this is holding the system for Pi OS. We do not want to touch that, or else I'm going to lose my data. Now, something easy, we're just SDA right here. I'm going to expand this window a little bit, just to make it easier to read. Alright, fdisk, it's currently in use, okay. Q. I'm just gonna unmount that. Now, of course, it does say Redclaw right here. It's called testing, and it does work. We're just gonna go back in here. Now, P is gonna print that, but M for help. I'm gonna create G for new disk label. There's nothing in there. N to add. Partition number 1 for sector default. Make this 512 megabytes. Yes. Signature will be removed. I've got to change this type real quick. Now what we want to change it to is Microsoft Basic Data. Pretty much that's for like FAT systems, NTFS, I think exFAT as well. So we want number 11. We don't need to set any bootable flags. That's only for the legacy DOS table. Probably don't know what that is, but trust me, everything uses GPT now. Don't even think about ChatGPT. This is like, you know what, forget about it. Alright, second partition, we're just going to use the rest of the space. Yes. Now here's our printed table. And then W to right, and it's going to do that. Alright, let's just format it. Because right now we can't write anything. For this, you don't necessarily need a label for it, but it's good to have. And this one's going to take a little bit longer because it's got to create a journal. It's good for maintaining some data recovery, but it's going to take a while. Alright, after that's done, this is the folder that the setup script creates. We're going to mount the ext4 thing there. Actually, to make it easier, it's good you can create a variable for that. So the Redclaw variable right here. And then I'm just going to mount it like that. Hold up. I didn't add a dash here. After that, CA1. Now this kind of matches, hold up. Did I not put the dash again? Mount point does not exist. Okay. Let's have a look at this real quick. Gotcha. So the thing doesn't exist, but a good way to fix that. Alright, you know what, let me just do the thing. Mount, gonna mount the file system. Verbose, that's what you saw that thing. Device mounted on that. Here's the drive, well, partition for the bootloader to read. Here's the location to mount it on. Now, of course, that doesn't exist, so we're gonna go ahead and create it here. Yep. And after that, in here we're going to boot fs and then star. That's the wildcard to copy absolutely everything into there. Now I also did V just to see what the files are named and stuff. And yeah. Now for the root partition, this one's going to take a while because it's got a lot of firmware, documentation, man pages, all of that stuff to copy over. So we're just going to wait a little bit and then we'll get to it. I should probably add like a, this will take a few minutes to the copying files part of the setup script. But of course, we'll do that later. Alright, now that it's done, next thing to do is mount a whole bunch of file systems. Now these are for CH rooting, getting to, I'm gonna do that. Now there's gonna be a succession of different commands. They're gonna be on the right side of the screen. This should be everything. Dev PTS. Dev PTS. Redclaw, Redclaw, Redclaw. Alright, then after that, alright, now we're in a chroot environment. Pretty much the only thing we can access is our mounted drive. So we're at the root of the system, like the very top level. That internal setup script means we're inside the system. We can only access what's on the drive. Now, a few things we need to configure. First of all, it's going to be I believe that's it. Hold up. Okay. Because it's unpacked, like download from the internet and then unpacked, the permissions are not going to be default. These ensure that the daemons on Redclaw work properly. So we just set these permissions here. Now that's the absolute first thing for the internal setup script. The next thing here is going to be locals. Locals, I don't know how to pronounce it. If you know how to properly pronounce it, leave it in the comments as well. Now, to view any available locals for Redclaw, you just type this command here. And because there's a lot, we're going to pipe it through the less command, which allows us to just look through and scroll down to see everything. Now, the formatting for this is not going to be what's in the configuration file for it. For example, we got UTF-8 all in lowercase. If you want to type it in, it's going to be capital UTF-8. Same thing for ISO. Capital ISO 8859 whatever number comes after that. Modifiers here, they're not really common, but they'd be normal. They'd be, okay, here. BR_FR dot capital ISO 8859 -15 at Euro, just as it is. CP, just uppercase those two. What else is there? I know there's other ones. There's like a big one. There's EUC. There's KOI. There's just a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, capital EUC capital KR. EUC, I think that would be just capital EUC. But anyways, this just shows you all the available locals. Now there are a couple others that you can choose. There is POSIX right here. You would just type in POSIX like that. And then back up here, there is a C local. That's just plain ASCII. I wouldn't recommend using it, but if you want to, go ahead. You could do either C or C.UTF-8, all that uppercase. So the file to set that in is going to be here. C.UTF-8, I would leave that be. This is the one to change. So the default is going to be en_us.utf8. If you want to change it, you can go ahead and change it like that. like again, you could do POSIX or C, I guess. But it's going to be set up there. There's also another file that you could put the same thing in, but it's not really of use right now because everything is commented out. You can see, alright, where's the lang thing? I don't know where the lang thing is, but you've got your keymaps and console fonts here, which is the next thing. Not L, okay. LS. This directory here, user share keymaps, will show you every single keymap available to the system. The ones you're gonna most likely use are gonna be in i386. And then if we go a little further down, for example, QWERTY, here are all your keymaps. Now they're all .map.gz. The only thing you're gonna type is, for example, US. You would just type this in here. Keymap US, you would just type in whatever you see here. You just take away the .map.gz part. Alright. Now this part isn't in the setup script, but it's cool to know. Console fonts. You've got psf.gz and psfu.gz. Now the U, I believe, stands for Unicode. So I would say if you're using a Unicode local, I would also pair it with a Unicode console font. The reason why I left this out of the script is it uses lat2-terminus16. That's widely compatible with different locals and different keymaps. But of course, if you don't want to use that, then you can choose something else. But I would keep this the same. Now you also saw this Unicode line here. If you're not using a Unicode-based local or keymap, you would change this one here to 0, but I would keep it at 1 just because Unicode is the big thing nowadays. We don't use legacy fonts and keymaps and locals anymore. So just stick with Unicode and you'll be fine. Lat2-terminus, you can just replace it with, like, I don't know, maybe lat1-16, you could put that in there, but we'll just leave that. Alright, what's the next thing? Timezones. Oh, I didn't put that in there, but luckily we've got this video here. Not user hair, user share. Here are all of your time zone areas. And glibc, the standard C library, provides us with this wonderful program here. Alright, please identify locations so that time zone rules can be set up correctly and your clock doesn't get screwed up. Select the continent, ocean, or chords, TZ, time now. We're just gonna go with where we are. We're in the Americas, we're in the United States, so 49. Most areas for Eastern. Alright, America / new underscore York will be used. Is the above information correct? Yes. There you go. You can make this change permanent for yourself by appending the line here to your profile. Log out and log back in again. But what we do here is we link this file here. So for example, share zone info America New York. So we're just going to link this file to read link local time. Read a link? No, it's read link. Oh my god. Read link. You see, it's already linked there. And also, if you don't believe me, it's a symbolic link to that. So it would be like link, and then maybe SF, and then zone here. I'll just do time zone, and then so that'd be like the user share zone info slash America slash new underscore York. You could put that to replace time zone here, but like I said, that's the default. We're not gonna change it. Your host name. Now this is set on boot. It reads this file here. The default is Redclaw, but I would recommend changing it to something like, I don't know, maybe for, let's just say Redclaw-Scott. So we're just going to do Redclaw-Scott hostname. Now it's going to overwrite stuff. So when we boot into that, it's going to set it to Redclaw-Scott. Now I know at least for Windows, for like older DOS-based systems, I think there's like a character limit for that, but we're in the modern days. We don't need to worry about that. Alright. Now, supposedly the next thing would be the root passwords and creating an account. We're going to skip the root password. Pretty much is just password root. You'd hit enter, and then you'd type in the password to set one for root. But I'm curious. pwconf and grpconf, they just convert the password and group files to shadow stuff. That's the program that manages passwords and stuff. So we're not going to do that. I think that's probably what I'm leaving out, but I'll figure that out later. Alright, adding a user. I don't have that in the configuration guide either. Okay. Actually, hold up. Name Scott. Now, when creating a user in a group, you gotta make sure it's completely lowercase, because that's how Linux is. In the script, there is a Python line that's run that just converts everything to lowercase. I'm just gonna do group add Scott. Of course, you gotta just on group add that name there, and it would read what's in the name variable there. Now this, I'm just gonna type out how it's used in the script. Alright, so pretty much user add, it's going to add a new user. -D, this switch here just defines where the home directory is going to be. In this case, /home/name, and what's in name Scott, so it's going to be /home/Scott. -G Scott, that's going to assign the user to the Scott group here. The capital G, it will assign the user to other groups. For example, wheel here, that's useful for running sudo commands, but we don't have that for this version yet. So, but it's a good thing to have. This is what's in the script. The lowercase m switch, it just says create this directory here. Just create that. -S is going to assign the shell. Now later on you will have multiple shells like the dash shell, the ZCH shell, TCSH I believe as well, but right now we're just stuck with the bash shell. Then of course you gotta put the name of the user. We have all this data here, but we can't create it if we don't know what the name of the user is. Oh, invalid shell, okay. I didn't put the slash at the beginning. But there you go, and if you would like to see it is in here. /home/Scott, and then here is the shell there. That's the ID for it. And then X, and then Scott there. And of course, password is going to be stored in the shadow file in the etc directory, but we're not going to do anything for that quite yet. Alright. Now, that is going to be the last thing for the internal setup. So we're just going to go ahead and exit. But there are two more things that need to happen. Well, technically one more thing, but in two different files. Normally, if you were to load Redclaw into a micro SD card and then put it in the reader like shown earlier, you would be fine. It would just unmount the system and then you'd be able to boot from it. But since we're booting it from a USB flash drive, we're gonna have to change some stuff. So I'm just gonna do a nano command here. We're back in the shell. We're not in the chroot thing anymore. fstab. When this is read, it'll mount every single file system here on boot. Before, of course, going to the shell there. SDA. Assuming that the flash drive is going to be the only drive connected to the Pi. So we're going to save that. We also got to change another file. This is read by the bootloader. They're kernel command line options, so you don't really need to worry about them. We're just going to change MMC block to SDA. Or else it's going to cause a kernel panic because it can't mount the system. And yeah. The firmware also spazzes out if I don't have this root weight here. Alright, so we wrote those lines. I do believe that's it. You know, Redclaw. Oh, not nano, I meant remove the file. These are the last things that happen with that. Feel free to keep it if you want to just examine it, but it's going to be removed from the drive. Now we need to unmount all of these things here because we're going to be moving this over to that other Pi that you saw. Dev/pts shm, and then the dev directory itself. Proc sys run boot/firmware, and then finally that. And there you go. It also removes that as well. Okay, now I'm just gonna run an eject command there. Alright, back to my phone. I have to set this up again. So give me a couple seconds here while I do that. Droid cam. Alright. Now this was from the red and white Pi. I'm going to plug this in here. One thing I do like about these keyboards is it comes with a nice hub, so you can just read it there. And then take display here from this. Plug that back in. And then plug that into the Pi. And then, hold up. I gotta change something real quick. Alright. Alright. Now, it is currently booting. Like I said, the bootloader searches for a micro SD card in the little slot. And then after that, it searches for USB drives. And there we go. Now there's no password here because, well, like I said, the script, I don't think it's particularly the script, but yeah. You can just log into root. And then set your password here. We're just going to do a simple root here thing. Yeah. We're just going to set a password for Scott as well. We're just going to type Scott just because. Exit that. Scott. And there we go. To be honest, it's kind of weird seeing the green prompt because I work in root all the time for like testing purposes, but it's nice to see the green there. And of course you can see up here the Redclaw Scott thing. For example, like the host name and stuff. Now, the last thing I do want to do is set up networking. I have an Ethernet cable here. This Ethernet cable. I have internet connection sharing, so it will just share a connection with my Windows PC. And there it turns on. You can see the green and the yellow wires. And back here, I'm going to exit, go back into root. IP link. It shows you all of your devices. You've got a loopback interface, number 1. You've got your Ethernet interface, number 2. And then you've got your wireless interface, number 3. If I go back into here, we've got ifconfig for both. That's just configuration files for each interface. Now for you, if it shows something else like, say, ETH0, then you would just rename the thing accordingly. There's just information about this. It is set to use automatic IP assignment and stuff. It's what you normally use, like when you connect to Wi-Fi and all that stuff, it starts automatically. Now I'm gonna go ahead and set up a hotspot just to set up networking so that I don't dox what my actual network name is. Alright. Hold up. Mobile hotspot. I'm just going to turn it on my phone. Alright. Now, you saw that the Ethernet cable was connected. If up END0, we can use ifconfig to see all the active interfaces. We can see RX bytes and TX bytes right above the interrupt line. And every time we run ifconfig, if it goes up, then we know the connection is working. We can also go ahead and ping Google as well. It's probably going to take a while. You just give it a moment to load. If it says unknown host, then we're just waiting for DHCP CD to load. Yeah. I think it also has to do with like root weight or something, but it is working. The RX and TX bytes do go up. Now the unknown host, it's trying to resolve an address with DNS. Feel free to Google the terms that I'm saying right now. And yeah. We're just gonna have a look in here. Resolve. list, I want cat. Generated by DHCPCD. That's what that conf head thing there is with all of that, all those files. It reads a conf.head and it reads a conf.tail. Pretty much you got Google DNS servers and OpenDNS servers. Those just help map a domain name like, say, Google. Hey, what is the IP address for google.com? That's what DNS servers do. They give you the IP address. That's pretty much how most of the internet runs. But of course, if you do know the IP as well, you can just type in the IP in. It'll do that ping thing. Alright, I think it also has to do with the fact that me sharing the internet thing isn't working right. It's a thing on Windows end. It's not a problem with Redclaw, so I'm just gonna... Oh, it already stopped. So we're just gonna bring down the Ethernet interface for now, but it was pushing the packets through, so that's good. Alright, now for setting up a Wi-Fi network. One thing you'll need to figure out is the SSID and the password for your Wi-Fi network. Network is down, okay. It's because the interface isn't up yet. If up, WLAN 0. So that fail thing, it's trying to look for a WPA supplicant file. But at least the interface is up. And we can scan stuff. Okay, luckily nothing was sent. It just scanned for stuff. But pretty much SSID, you would pipe it through a grep command and then you'd run that to see all the names of the nearby Wi-Fi networks. But of course, I'm not going to dox myself. So, let's see. Actually, just for now, I'm going to rename something real quick. So this is just for a mobile hotspot. Just something simple. Alright. Now this is what you're going to type. Alright, so WPA passphrase, the SSID is test, and the password is test. Because Android is picky about like the character size. Gotta be at least 8 characters. So the SSID is test, and the password is test. Then we pipe the data that WPA passphrase creates into that configuration file there. Oh, I probably typed something in wrong. Yep, I forgot a W there. That's what it's gonna come out as. And there we go. Warn, it wasn't running. We're just gonna bring up the interface there. Now, I do believe it should be working. Yep. RX bytes and TX bytes are going up, and hopefully, there we go. It's pinging over Wi-Fi. So there's your configuration there, and this is in the configuration guide. One of the few that I remembered to put in there. Now, of course, that's not in the setup script because Networking isn't really needed to run Redclaw. That's why we didn't do it earlier when we were back in PyOS. But yeah, there we go. You can find how to set up networking here. There's also a thing for manually setting the time, but NTP does that automatically. Anytime it catches an interface there, like a working network connection, it'll then update the clock. Talking about that, it should show us the time, I do believe. I don't know. It's gonna do all that automatically. Actually, I am curious. What do we have? NTP time. There's an error thing. Okay. But or is it NTPQ? I can't remember. It's just gonna update the time when we reboot. System 5, that's why it said vBranch. It doesn't use systemd unlike the PC version. We're just gonna do a simple reboot command. Now there's not really much we can do with Redclaw right now. This is just like a proof of concept that it works and that we can do stuff with it. That's just gonna reboot it again. Root. Now none of the interfaces are up automatically. We do have Nano in here, so that is good. You are provided with Nano and Vim. Actually, let's have a look at Vim. Yeah, there we go. But hold up. Vim is complicated. That's why I provided Nano. And I gave it a configuration file. So that's why you see all that color there. Unlike in PyOS, it doesn't have that much color, but I provided it with color. And it's red because, well, Redclaw. Alright, I was gonna do something. I forgot what I was gonna do. Come on. Right. I typed that in wrong. You know what? Exit. We can do tabbing and stuff to just do that. If config wlan 0. Now this on boot line here, we're going to change that to yes. And what that'll do is when we reboot, it'll automatically bring up the wireless interface there. You just gotta wait for it to reboot. You don't really see anything because of in the command line thing it said quiet, so it will take a little bit to actually turn off. Alright, Bluetooth, we got all that running. Back to that. Lat to terminus, that font is right there. That's why the font changed. But there you go. It came up automatically. The Ethernet interface we did not bring up automatically. But we don't need it because we have Wi-Fi. Okay, I think that's it for the video. Proof that it works. Yeah, pretty much. Now, hopefully if I can figure out how to add, like, markers to stuff to, like, help set up the things, and bookmarks so you can go back to. So, like, if there's a part of the video to set up, like, the locals or the time zone, I'll hopefully have those marked for this video. Alright. Now, we'll hope to see the next release later on that we'll have new programs and hopefully get a setup script that works. But pretty much that'll be it. I hope you guys find this video helpful, and hopefully it'll help you like actually set up Redclaw for your Raspberry Pi. I'm just gonna do the power off command. That'll just turn it off and stuff. Yada yada. Alright. Alright, I'm also gonna turn off the hotspot on my phone. I mean, we don't really need it anymore. I can just set it up later if I wanted to. Alright. Anyways, we got that running off of this. Like I said, if you were to put like a micro SD card into that port right there, you just have to change the fstab file and the cmdline.txt file back to mmc block 0 and then p whatever. But yep, there you go. I hope you guys found the video helpful. I know I did say that again. Comment down how it went for you. Also comment down if you have any issues. I'll try to update the configuration guide as well. And I'll see you later tonight for my birthday stream. And show off all the nice gifts I got. So, I'll see you then. Yay. Alright. Peace out.